Anna Kepner's 16-year-old stepbrother, quote, is a suspect in her death on a Carnival cruise ship. That information is not coming from law enforcement. It's coming from the 16-year-old's parents. Those parents were just in court.
Source told ABC News that 18-year-old Anna Kepner died on a cruise ship due to asphyxiation as the result of an arm across her neck until she died.
The teen was joined on that cruise by her father, her stepmother, and at least two of her stepmother's children from another marriage, a nearly 9-year-old daughter and 16-year-old son. Those two children were the subject of this court hearing.
I dug deep. I found some things going on with Anna's family. I don't even think the media has brought this out yet, especially about her father. And I'm going to tell you guys all, even exactly what happened in that cabin with her, how her stepbrother, what he did. And not only that, the little brother even heard. It's crazy. Fugitive TV. Anna Kepner, the one who was found on the cruise ship unalived, okay, on Carnival Cruise. A lot of us have already been following the story. It's gained a lot of national attention because of, she was about to graduate high school in May. And not only that, she already took her test to go into the military. She was going to the military. And I think I know why she was going to go to the military. I think it was to get away from her family. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I think that, because of some of the connections and things that I found just digging. Well, it has came out of exactly what happened. Not exactly what happened, but how she passed. Now, for those of you who don't know, she went on a cruise ship with her family, okay? Now, it was confirmed it was her father, her real father, her stepmother, okay? Her real brother, who was 14 years old, her stepbrother, who was 16, okay? They all went on a cruise ship together. I believe it was I can't remember if it was 5 or 7 day cruise, but they all went on this cruise ship on Carnival Cruise Line. Well, in one cabin, because everybody had questions, who was all sharing the cabin? One cabin was pretty much all the teenagers. It was Anna Kepner, it was the stepson, okay? And it was the little brother, the real little brother of Anna Kepner, who's 14. So it was Anna and her little brother, and then it was the stepbrother, who's 16. They were all sharing the same cabin, all right? Well, media reports have come out and said that they found her, underneath the bed. She was wrapped in a blanket. At first, they didn't tell us that. It was just rumors. But she was found underneath a bed, wrapped in a blanket, and covered with life jackets. Like somebody did something to her and tried to hide her. Then she was found by a maid. It was the day before the cruise came back. The maid found her at 11:17 a.m. At first, it was reported that was the time of death, but no, that was just the time the maid found her, because there was no medical examiner, nothing on board, because they only have security, really. That's it. So that was the time the maid found her. So that was a mix up with that. So 11:17 is when they found her. Come to find out, she most likely passed the night before. Way before that 11:17 they're talking about, okay? And I'm going to explain to you why. Now, the whole family was on this ship. And like I said, how they found her, the maid found her. Now, after they found her, there was I got emails from people, and they were talking about, they were on the ship actually, and I got emails, and they were saying that there was a emergency alert on the ship, okay, that people had to pack up because the ship is going to be coming back early. So people are like, what's going on, And not only that, they were saying on deck 8, alert on deck 8. And I guess that's the deck they were on. I'm not sure, but that's what people were telling me. That's the deck they said their emergency was, was happening. Well, when they left the ship, okay, they brought her body out, things like that. And then they hurry up and got people back on the ship, cruised it out. Now, I got information that cabin has been blocked off. They did block that cabin off, almost like a crime scene. So that cabin is blocked off. Supposedly, from what I know, nobody's in that cabin. Just in case, I guess they have to go back and investigate, even though it's in the water somewhere. Now, the ship, it's on maritime law, and I'll explain this real briefly for you, for those I'll explain this real briefly for you for those that don't know or haven't seen my other videos. Ships don't have real police, they only have security because of maritime law. There's no really law out there in the waters, okay? So when something comes back, they have to inform FBI. Then FBI gets involved, and that's why they're involved with this case. Well, the night before she was discovered, there was people talking about that there was a argument between the stepbrother and Anna. Some witnesses hit me up and said that, okay? So they said allegedly there was a little argument between the two. Anna also told the family she wasn't feeling too good and went back to the cabin. Well, there is CTV footage, so camera footage, because crews have cameras everywhere, of her going into the cabin. But guess who else went to the cabin? The stepbrother, okay? The stepbrother went into the cabin. Now, after he was in the cabin, all right, the 14-year-old went to go try and go through, or I should say enter into, the room, into the cabin, because the 14-year-old was staying in there too. But the 14-year-old allegedly heard arguing, and it sounded like people were in there fighting, like furniture was being moved, is what he described. He told this to Anna's, I believe it was the ex-boyfriend. This is what the 14-year-old told to Anna's ex-boyfriend. Anna's ex-boyfriend took this information and went and told authorities, all right? Well, the 14-year-old could not get into the cabin at the time because the stepbrother, who was 16, pretty much told him to go away and come back.
Yeah, Darlene, we are still looking through the details we obtained, but as you mentioned there, a source who was connected with the investigation into Anna's death also told us earlier this afternoon that after someone held their arm over her neck for too long. That's also consistent with the bruises that were found in her body. Now, you may remember Anna's body was found wrapped in a blanket under life vests. Investigators had initially reported that her family went to check on her after she did not show up for breakfast. Anna, her father, stepmother, and stepbrother were all together on a Carnival Horizon cruise ship that left from Miami earlier this month. Her family said that the 18-year-old was sharing a room with her stepbrother, who is a 16-year-old boy. Court documents related to a different case involving Anna's stepmother show that 16-year-old is now a suspect in this case.
Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but the 14-year-old, if this is true, he was actually hearing her sister and what was happening, and probably heard the last few moments of her, unfortunately. Now, the cause of death is strangulation. They say what he did was have his arm, like a chokehold from the back, had it around her and squeezed until she passed. She also had 2 bruises, one on each side of her neck. That could be from the squeezing or it could be from something else. But that was how she passed. That is a horrible way to go. That's pretty much similar to drowning, fire. You know that your life could be ending and there's nothing you can do about it. That is very sad. So he was actually put his arm around her and squeezed, because first you're going to pass out. First, a person passes out from that. So even after she passed out, he had to keep squeezing until she passed away. Even though she wasn't moving, he kept doing it until she was gone. Then he threw her underneath the bed, or I should say wrapped her in a blanket, threw her underneath the bed and tried to put life jackets on her. The 14-year-old eventually was allowed back in the room and went to sleep and did not know that his big sister was underneath the bed the whole time while he was sleeping. Did not know. Everybody got up the next morning for breakfast. Nobody knew where Anna was at, okay? Now, when the 14-year-old went to bed that night, he figured Anna was out with the adults. And you know why? The father, the real father of the stepbrother, okay, who's been trying to get custody of his kids for the last 2 years, filed, in court to try and get his kids back. And Chantel, I know it's confusing, Chantel, who was Anna's stepmom, who was the stepbrother's real mom, has been battling to keep these kids. All right. Well, court documents came out a couple days ago, and on those court documents, she said in the court documents, sorry, I can't supply any evidence right now, pretty much because of the situation that's happening with one of the minor children. He is probably a suspect for a crime. And that was how a lot of this came out, and how a lot of people thought, oh, it's the stepbrother. Well, all that was true. Well, the real father of the stepbrother did an interview and said that they were allowed to drink. So the stepbrother was allowed to drink pretty much with the adults, is what the real father is saying. So that means he was probably intoxicated.
Can I speak
This is Chantel Kepner, the children's mother and Anna Kepner's stepmother. She's in a child custody dispute with her ex-husband, Thomas Hudson, seated on the right. The former couple says their 16-year-old son, quote, is a suspect in his stepsister's.
Your Honor, it's our understanding that because the cruise was in international waters, that the young child, not the 9-year-old, but the 16-year-old was allowed to drink. The teenagers were given their own room in which to stay. Just a lot of circumstances that show that the mother in this case was not exercising appropriate supervision over this child or the other child involved.
Okay. Probably intoxicated. And he's 16, meaning he probably doesn't even know how to handle what he's drinking, right? You don't, when you're that young, you can drink all, but you can't handle it really. You're not grown yet. You're not used to it. So this is what the stepbrother, or I should say the real father of the stepbrother, said in court. All right. So the real little brother, the 14-year-old brother, Anna's little brother, when he went to bed, he figured, hey, she's out partying because they were allowed to drink. I'm not saying Anna was drinking, but as far as he knows, they probably are allowed to drink, whatever. So the next morning they get up, Anna doesn't come to breakfast. Now, allegedly, it wasn't just the maid that found her. The stepmom, Chantel, walked in the room and saw it too. Supposedly, she walked in the room and saw it as well because her son told her what happened. Her son told her what happened when everybody was wondering where Anna was at. And there's even more twist to the story. There's even more. This ain't even it. All right? This is what the media has put out so far, and also some of the tips that I got that is all making sense, is all connecting, all right? So right here, if you can't keep up, there's a flow chart. Christopher's at the top, okay? And if you're looking at your screen, all the way to the left, you have Heather Wright. That's Anna's real mom. Right underneath Heather, you have Anna Kepner, okay? Right underneath Christopher, you have Tabitha. Please remember Tabitha, because we're going to get into Tabitha, who's the ex-wife, and it's going to make a big connection. I promise you. Tabitha's the ex-wife, okay? They have 2 kids together, which is after Anna. Then to the right, you have Chantel Kepner. Chantel is the current wife, which is the real mother of the stepson who unalived Anna. Then you have Thomas Hudson, who is Chantel's ex-husband. Thomas is the one that's been trying to fight to get the kids back for the last couple of years. I know it's confusing. Well, since there's been this weird family dynamic going on between the real kids of Anna's dad, who was Christopher, okay? Her dad is Christopher. And then the real kids of the stepmom, who is Chantel. Chantel, has her kids. And then you have Chantel's ex-husband, who's fighting for custody over the kids. There is past violent issues with this whole family dynamic. There was an altercation between Anna's real father, then the stepbrother's real father, who is Chantel's ex-husband, and the stepbrother. It's confusing. But anyway, there was a big altercation that happened, all right? Now, he's been fighting custody for the last 2 years over these kids, all right? And I see why he's probably trying to get custody. I see. Chantel's been saying he's violent and the kids can't go with him. Well, There's also speculation that the stepbrother already has a violent past. Supposedly he walks around with a big knife. He's got in trouble at school for violent issues. And not only that, a lot of people are saying he was obsessed with Anna. Remember, that's the step sister to him, and they haven't been together that long. I believe, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they were only married for like 2 years or something like that, or whatever, if that.
The medical examiner's office has not released their final toxicology results, but our sources are also telling us that Anna did not appear to have any drugs or alcohol in her system when she died. Now, the FBI is the leading agency in this case because of where it happened, and so far they have not released any information about possible charges against anybody, including that 16-year-old.
So he's been trying to get custody of these kids for 2 years while Chantel's been married to Christopher, okay? And the steps brother has already had these altercations, already showed sign of violence and everything else. Now, Anna's ex-boyfriend also came out, spoke to news, and said that Anna felt uncomfortable around the stepbrother, that she told him that she felt uncomfortable around him.
The truth needs to come out. There were signs before this.
This man said those feelings are based on what he's heard from his nephew, Anna's ex-boyfriend, Josh Chu.
That was my first love. She was the best that ever happened to me. And I'd even walk to her work to see her, for like 5-10 minutes.
Chu says he was meant to go on the cruise with Anna and her family until the two broke up some months ago. He spoke about the relationship between Anna and her stepbrother.
She complained about him being uncomfortable, or her being uncomfortable around him.
Chu said he's shared information with authorities with no charges filed and no arrests made. He and his family hoping they'll see justice for Anna.
So you have people saying that he was obsessed with her. Then you have her relaying messages to her ex-boyfriend, because they actually just broke up. He said they broke up maybe a couple months ago. That was it. Okay. So it was just recently. So if she's already telling him that, hey, I'm uncomfortable around him, what was he doing? Was he making advances? Was he trying to say something slick to her? What was he doing? Obviously, he was doing something, especially if he already has a violent tendency of what they're saying. And not only that, we know this kid is violent if you're able to put your arm around somebody, not just keep squeezing until you can't breathe and then until you pass out, but to keep doing it until you actually pass. That takes a different person to do something like that. I'm sorry, but that's a different type of person right there. That's different from just pow-powing. That's using your bare hands, and even though after they can't move, you're still going at it. Still, you got something really wrong with you that you really need help with if that's what you're capable of doing. Now, the stepson also went to the hospital himself when the cruise ship got back. Why was he going to the hospital? Did Anna put up a fight? Did Anna hurt him? I hope she did put up a fight. I hope she did. And if she hurt him, good, but it wasn't good enough. If that is the reason why he went to the hospital, it makes me wonder why. But yeah, he went to the hospital, got released a few hours later, and after that, he got placed into a relative's care. So he is no longer with that family. He's in a relative's care. What they say is safety for the other children. Safety for the other children. So if it's safety for the other children, they know something's wrong with him. They already know. Now, even a bigger twist in all of this. Oh my God. I told y'all in the last video, there's a guy that came out that was supposedly the uncle. Okay? People were calling him Anna Kepner's uncle. All right? He came out on X and made a statement. It's been deleted now, but he came on X and made a statement about how this family is hiding everything and a stepbrother is involved. Please do not change your channel because this is about to blow your mind. What I found, it is crazy. Let me read to you what the uncle said first. Now, here's a post from the uncle, okay? This was later deleted. It's from Martin Donahue. And it says, I need everyone's help on this. If you haven't heard the story, then you have been living under a rock. This is my niece, Anna Kepner. She was 18 and was on a cruise with her dad, stepmom, and other family members. I cannot stay silent about this matter any longer. The stepmom's son unalived her, stuffed her undressed body in a sheet, and stuffed her under a bed. and covered her with life jackets, then slept on that bed like nothing happened. He told his stepmom when no one could find Anna on the ship. So yes, they know who did this, and it sickens me that the father, Chris, remains silent about it. Please pass this on till maybe it gets to someone that can do something about it. If nothing is done, it will all come out on the 20th. At least that's what the stepmom has said after treating family. If they talk before, they will be banned for the remembrance of Anna. So basically, he's saying that if anybody talked before then, they couldn't attend the remembrance of Anna. Martin Donahue. Remember this name. So y'all remember that name, right? Donahue. So I'm like, uncle to who? Uncle to Anna Kepner? So is there a Donahue in the family? Is this Chantel's brother? Who? Uncle to who? Because they never, there was rumors saying that's Anna's uncle, but I was like, he's got a last name. So, I mean, how is he related, right? You can have a different last name, obviously, but what's going on? So I started doing some digging. I started doing some research. Okay. I came across Anna's real father criminal charges. Anna's real father, Christopher, had an underage, okay, SEX assault charge on him through Broward County. The girl was supposedly 15. This was back in 2008, okay? Now, it was eventually dropped. So if you try and run his name on the background report, you're not going to see it. You have to actually go to the public records to find it, all right? So it was dropped. And I'm wondering, like, why is it dropped? Well, I looked closer at the original record. It had the daughters or the 15, it had the mother's name. Okay? You know what the last name was? Donahue. C. Donahue. So then I was like, is Donahue related to the other Donahue that posted on X? Come to find out, it is. Look what I found. All right, so this right here is from Broward Electric Court Application, Broward County, Florida, okay? So this is C. Donahue. Please remember this name, C. Donahue versus Christopher Kepner. This is how I made the connection, was actually reading this, all right? As you see, you have actual violence. So it was an actual violence charge. Now this was towards a 15-year-old. They're not going to have her name because she was underage, but it shows you the mother, Christina Donahue against Christopher Kepner, okay? And as you see, it all says restricted, but because he is a defendant, is going to give all his, info, all right? Now, total number of document pages is 22. It shows you the judge. It shows you the date, 2008. And look, it says right here, dismissed after hearing. So there was a hearing. So there was charges filed. And once these charges are filed, they had to go to court, right? But then for some reason, it got dismissed. So I'm like, why did these get dismissed? What's going on? But then again, this last name Donahue. So while I was trying to look at Christopher Kepner's background, okay, I noticed that charge did not come up, but it's because it was dropped. But it showed a relation to Christina Donahue. And I was like, wow, Christina Donahue is the one who tried to put the charge on him in the first place, who is supposedly the young girl's mom who was 15. I was like, why is she showing up as a relation to him, first of all? So then I started looking and looking and looking and looking and looking, right? And then if you go to under relatives, you have right here, Tabitha Lynn Harper. That is his ex-wife. Tabitha is the ex-wife. Tabitha is the 15. She is now 33. Okay? Tabitha was 15 when it happened. So eventually what he did was marry her later on. This is why the mom dropped the charges, okay? She's 33 now, but she was 15 in 2008. Yeah, she's 33 now, but she was 15 in 2008. So do the math, and that equals, depending on her birthday, 33 years old. He married the person he assaulted when they were underage. And then if you keep going down, you have Martin Donahue. Martin Donahue is the one who made that post on X who claimed to be the uncle. So I'm thinking that he is really Tabitha's uncle. He's really the ex-wife's uncle, which means he's probably the brother of Christina Donahue. And that explains probably why he put that out there on X, because he's probably still mad about what happened with Tabitha. He probably didn't allow that. Mind blown. So that 15 that he had that charge on when she was 15 got dropped. And you know what happened? He eventually married her and had kids. Married her and had kids. Tabitha Kepner. Married her and had kids. That was why the charges dropped. That's why the uncle Donahue, because Donahue was really the uncle of the ex-wife Tabitha. So that makes sense. The uncle Martin Donahue is probably still mad at what Christopher did to his niece. So he says, enough's enough. Y'all going too far. I'm putting y'all's business on blast. Uncle said, I'm done. So that sounds like to me, the uncle didn't approve of those charges probably getting dropped in the whole first place. Now, because of all of this drama, I see why Anna was joining the military. She was probably trying to get out. Poor girl. She was probably trying to leave this dramatic situation. She didn't feel comfortable at home. She's with her stepbrother that's walking around with these big knives, has violent tendencies. I don't know how the stepmother's treating her. Who knows? Okay. Then the mother before that, the mother, or I should say the wife before that, was her stepmother to that one too. Who knows? She probably knows the history of that. They say she was close to her grandma. I see why she was closer to her grandma. I can see. Her grandma was probably one of the only purest people in her life. That gave her some sort of positivity to keep living. I'm not saying nobody else did, but the grandma probably had less drama going on. Horrible. This reminds me of the David Celeste thing. It reminds me almost of it, because if you know about the David and Celeste case, the little girl, or the girl who was found in the front of the singer David, Celeste's whole family failed her. It's almost like this situation, pretty much. I see why she was trying to hurry up and graduate and go to the military. She was trying to get away from y'all weirdos. Let me know if y'all know anything about this. Please send this to my email. Let me know. I'm getting the tips because I'm digging even more into this. This is absolutely insane, this discovery. It is crazy, all right? Let me know if you heard of this case. Let me know also what case you've been following me from, what city, state, even country. Please put that into the comments. It will help the algorithm. Especially this episode needs to grow more, so more people are aware of exactly what happened, and not only that, exactly of the people who she was surrounded with. Not everything was peaches and roses in her life, come to find out. All right? Information is going to be at the bottom. This is Fugitive TV. Talk to y'all later. I'm out.